Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's dealtohealtees.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealtees.com. Again, that's dealtohealtees.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Hey guys, this is Ernest James, host of the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And I got a question to ask you. Could you buy me a cheeseburger? Better yet, could you buy me a value meal? Yes? Well, guess what? I don't need a value meal. However, for the cost of a value meal, you can support this podcast to keep us on the air. Just go to Patreon/Deal to Heal podcast and choose any one of the 3 tiers that's available. And if you just want to make a one-time donation, go to Cash App and make a donation to $EJames, the number 418. Make a one-time donation to the Cash App, or again, go to Patreon to support this podcast and keep us on the air. Thanks in advance. Be blessed. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to our podcast and also to our YouTube channel on all of your podcast listening platforms, as well as YouTube. So also make sure you guys check out our partner podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast on our YouTube channel. We share a YouTube channel with the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and I am the host of that podcast also. And we just spreading the voice of girl dads and their daughters to the world to combat the narrative of the fatherless daughter and the absent father in the lives of their daughters. So I know you guys will enjoy that podcast. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Also, I'm going to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you got to stay until the end of the episode in order to get that information. Okay. So getting right into it, our product of the week, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we maintain on the air and do the things that we do is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase. That way we can stay on the air. So our product of the week for this week is our ebook, The Core 4, which is the core 4 values that every daughter should get from her father. Again, it's the core 4 values that every daughter should get from her father. And so that ebook is for really for anyone, but definitely for our fathers and our daughters to pour the values that we pour into our daughters, right? So you guys can get that at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com in order to get that ebook. Also, you guys can also check out our other things that we have for you guys to be able to purchase at Deal to Heal Tees, which is our inspirational t-shirt line, as well as, again, ebooksbyejames.com, which is where you can find our other ebooks. All right. So thank you guys in advance for your purchase to help us stay on the air. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Dr. Rob Kelly. How are you doing today?
Living the dream, baby. Living the dream, Ernest. Great to meet you, man. Hey, guys, it's going to be a great show. Strap in.
All right. So first of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you take that time to be here with me and my listeners, and I definitely appreciate it. So do me a favor, Dr. Kelly, introduce yourself to my listeners and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
So I'm Dr. Rob Kelly. I deal in addiction and childhood trauma and any kind of addiction and alcoholism. We take people from hopeless to hope as quick as we possibly can. Been in the industry about 30 years. Moved to, I'm from England, Manchester. Moved to Texas about 18 years ago. I only came for 3 weeks, by the way, and stayed. And now that was Dallas, Texas. I'm now in San Antonio as of 4 years ago. Brand new offices and around, I don't know how many, 8,000 patients over 30 years. We're very successful in what we do. And we love what we do because we do what we love. So really pleased to be here today, Ernest. Thank you for having me on the show.
No problem. Thank you, Dr. Kelly, for the work that you do. I know I was sharing a little with you before we started recording that I personally haven't had a problem with addiction, but my dad did for many years struggle with alcohol addiction. And I've definitely had the conversation before. So I love to have the conversation because number one is personal, because again, dealing with my dad as he struggled the years that he did, he's definitely much better now. But I like to have the conversation because it's one of those, again, that I grew up experiencing on the other end of it, But even with that, I do understand, and I've learned to understand that every addiction has a root cause, and it's not just that they like to drink or like to do whatever that they're doing, but usually it's from some kind of trauma or something that they've experienced that they use this thing to become as an asset to help them deal with it. So let's go back a little bit, Dr. Kelly, in your own story. What was the thing that made you say, this was the line of work that you were going to be in and that you were going to do? Do you have a personal story that just was a change in your life that sparked and be like, you know what, I'm going to spend my life this thing?
Well, I suffered from alcoholism really badly. I lost my family, lost my children, house, car, wife, kids, everything went and became homeless with my drinking. I took my first drink at the age of 9 years old. And nobody knew a lot about alcoholism back then. We're talking about, 70s, middle 70s or something like that. So I was up against the wall straight away because I knew during my lifetime drinking. And by the way, guys, alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism, same with drug addiction. And everybody has an addiction, by the way. So it has 1% to do with the problem. The root cause, like you said, is psychological. It's the way certain brains are formed, the addictive personality. The alcoholic's brain differs from the drug addiction brain or any other addiction. 3 parts of the brain are different. So I was born like this. Alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made, or addicts are made. Whether it's gym, food, sex, porn, cake, it makes no difference. But nobody had any help from me. So, from the age of 9, when I took my first drink on stage back in Liverpool, England, it was a down series of me losing everything. It just had to happen. It's a progressive illness, and there is no cure. But there is no cure for the common cold or food poisoning. But there is certain steps you can take and procedures to make sure that I don't suffer from that again. And that's what I've done. But like I said, in my day, nobody knew. The doctor, said, hey, you're an alcoholic, Rob, you need to stop drinking. Well, I couldn't. So I thought I was different. The fact of the matter is alcoholism is the only self-diagnosed illness in the world. And it's all about the neuroscience and the disease itself. So the more we get into the neuroscience that backs up the psychology, the way the neural pathways act with the trauma and the hypothalamus and basal ganglia, that was really intriguing. So when and the difference between an alcoholic and a heavy drinker or an abuser of alcohol, when alcohol goes in my body, my brain does something different. And pre to the drink, it does something different than it does to any other person. So I was intrigued with that, and I need to find out why. I needed to find out why I couldn't stop drinking, and I need to find out why when I took that drink, my body and mind went in a different direction. And I studied for many, many years, not only the addiction, alcoholism, and addiction as a whole, but the neuroscience behind it, the physiological biochemical reaction that my body has when I take alcohol in me, and found out that it was probably nothing like what you think it is, guys. Like when somebody drinks themselves, just stop because of the children. I mean, we can't do it. Heavy drinkers can. So that intrigued me, because when I was younger, and I could earn money. I'm streetwise. I grew up on the projects. I could be in a boardroom speaking to the directors, and I could be on the shop floor speaking to the guys like me from homeless. I mean, I was from the streets. So I think that's a lot of me, was the determination to find out what the hell's going on here. Because if there was one person that was going to survive alcoholism, it was going to be me. I wasn't going to lose my kids. Are you kidding me? Do you know who I am? I mean, I could handle myself. I was tough. I was rough. Couldn't do it. It knocked me down so many times that in the end, I barely got up. After 7 suicide attempts, on 2 occasions it worked. I died, and they brought me back. Yeah, I was done. And I was homeless at the time. Early in the morning, I just broke down, and that was it. I needed help. So the only help I had after everything I've been through was I looked up to the sky and I said, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. And my life changed 30 years ago, right there and then, Ernest. And the journey ever since that has been very good for me.
Yeah. I like that. I'm definitely happy that you're able to come back from it, because even my dad, even though I don't think he lost everything because of the drinking, I think he started drinking because he lost everything, right? Because we were living a I would like to call it a higher middle class lifestyle. My dad worked for the phone company. We had the 3-bedroom house with the 2-car garage, like the whole little American dream. Yeah. And something happened with the phone company or whatever. And my dad ended up getting laid off, losing his job. And that was the first time I even heard the term overqualified, because as he went looking for more work, it was like, oh no, you're overqualified, and so we end up losing our home, everything, and starting over. And I think my dad always would drink, he would always have a drink. But that was the beginning, at least in my eyes, as a youngster, really recognizing not only the change in our life and our lifestyle, but the change in my dad. And then the years, especially following that, as he struggled, with alcohol addiction and still trying to rebuild this life for us, for his family. So I'm glad for you and for him, that you were able, both of you guys were able to come out on the other side of it. But you mentioned something. You talked a little bit about the brain functions of a addict and an alcohol addict, addiction, and all of that. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I know you one of the things in your form that you filled out for me, you talked about brain spotting and how that helps to deal with trauma. So what exactly is brain spotting, for one, and then how does that kind of help in the work that you do?
A lot of the stuff that people go through is childhood trauma. So everybody has trauma. Everybody has childhood trauma. We have to define what that is for you. So to some people, trauma is a flat tire on the side of a freeway. To other people, it's a plane crash. To other people, it goes more in depth, like me, to the certain words that people say when we're young, puts us in situations. So trauma-based, every single trauma is or every single thing we have in the past that bothers us today is trauma-based. So we have to look at that trauma. Most of the trauma that we go through that really persuades or develops and molds our life today is subconscious. So you have the subconscious mind here with all the bad stuff, everything that people have told you Learned behavior or measurement is stored, and the amygdala and the subconscious brain rule that part of that trauma, and it's not conscious. So you've got this subconscious and conscious brain. This is all the bad stuff in this with today, 24 hours, where it comes from. It's not an AA thing. And the idea is to get the 24 hours conscious brain running the day and the subconscious brain to get healed as we go along. So memories need to be uncovered, discovered, discarded of for us to carry on. So the easiest way to put this to understand is the girl that grows up in an alcoholic house where dad comes home 2 or 3 nights a week drunk and ends up beating mom. The young girl will pick up on a certain thing. She'll pick up on first, listen for the key in the door. If dad's key goes straight in, it's going to be a great night. If it jangles around because she doesn't know, but he's drunk, she knows to run and hide because there's going to be violence in the house. So that becomes a norm for the child. It doesn't become, oh my God, it becomes a normal action of that family. So what we think is when we go out, every other family is like this because as a child, we've got nothing to compare it to. So what happens to that young girl as she grows up into her teens and finally finds a boyfriend and leaves the house is she will attract the same person that ends up being an alcoholic and ends up beating her because that's what she's seeing parents, caregivers go through. So they learn behavior from that and the slight enmeshment from mom. They go out and they attract what we think we are worth. So we will attract with our essence and our energy the same guy that beats us and ends up, drinking too much and just being that whole scenario played out to the effect and the astonishment that if she was to go out and find a real good guy who started to look after her and treated her well, she would self-sabotage that relationship because it felt so uncomfortable. So brain spotting is new. It's been around about 4 or 5 years. It's a little bit like EMDR, but we go into the pupil and we delve into the subconscious mind. So if somebody's doing brain spotting on me, I don't know what the trauma is, but by the flickering of the eyes in certain points of the series that we go through, if an eye flickers, there's a subconscious trauma placed there that needs to come out. So that's how brain spotting. EDMR is similar. Normal psychology and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is basically what it sounds like. We program, your brain to act a different way than it would full of the trauma. So the idea is to go back to the trauma, uncover, discover, discard of that piece of trauma. And there are probably thousands of traumas that you've gone through in most of your life, and get rid of them and heal them. The way we do that as well is also to redirect neural pathways. So self-sabotaging neural pathways and good neural pathways rule our brain. If you've suffered trauma, and everybody has, there's 70, 80, 90% neural pathways are self-sabotaging, which means you'll never perform at the 100% that human beings are supposed to perform. Because most people go around between 45 and 50% of their capability and capacity because of the trauma.
Yeah, wow. And that's definitely different from what I've ever heard, to taking it from that point of view. I definitely agreed, though, because just in my limited experience, but knowing that a lot of, again, like I said before, the addiction from the traumas, because of things that we experience in our lives. And I love the way how you explained it with the young girl, because it kind of took me back even with my dad. Like you said, those little subtle things that you pick up, like you said, just for it's straight in the key, straight in the door, or fumbling, and just when you said that, just kind of took me back to my childhood with my dad, and those same little type things that you pick up on in your mind. I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna be one of those days, or one of those nights rather. But yeah, so you mentioned a little bit about the addiction and the trauma and how they go, they're like connected. Could you talk to us even a little bit more about that? Because I know that you mentioned, and I'm using your hand gestures, but you talked about how they kind of go hand in hand, and I think that's very important for people to understand. I did a episode as a guest on a podcast not too long ago. And the host is a podcast about addiction, and the host was a former alcoholic. I don't know how he qualifies himself in that space, but I was talking. I came on to talk about my dad and how the traumas, from my point of view, dealing with the things that my dad went through. And again, I was sharing my own experience. These were my words, not my dad's. But in that time period, the trauma that we were going through with losing everything, also one of my uncles got killed, which was my mother's brother. But my dad and my uncle was best friends since they were, little, because they lived right across the street from each other, so they were best friends their whole life. So when my uncle got killed, and then my dad losing his job, and then, losing everything, all of that was like in the same time period, probably within a 2-year time period, and dealing with those traumas is how I experienced it, of why, it was so hard for him to kind of get through that phase, and it leaned on the drinking because of those traumas. So just if you could talk to us a little bit more about just how much traumas actually do affect us, when it comes to addiction, because I think a lot of times we think, people get into these things and they pick up these addictions and habits just because they want to. But and the truth of the matter is, in some cases, they kind of have to in order to function,
Well, most traumas are learned behavior from caregivers. So, if you're sat at home right now and you think you're never going to amount to anything, and that you're no good and you've never done anything with your life, and I want to apologize to, because somebody's put that there. Children are born with $1 million minds, but we end up hanging around 10-cent minds because of our caregivers. Oh, you can't do that, Robert. Oh, you can't. I've been told I can't do for 40, 50 years. I've been told that most of my life. And it's, oh, no, you can't. Says who? That's my biggest answer. Says who? Well, you can't go to America. Says who? You can't be on Oprah. And says who? It's making these rules. I don't like them. You see, we put our brakes on our imagination because of our past. This is one of mine. How many times have I told you, Robert, you can't go to college like your brother? You're too stupid. I lived with that for a long time. So what did I do? I wheeled and dealed, and I got to the best college in the UK, because I'm an addict and alcoholic. I'm either all in or I'm all out. So the only time that addiction is going to get the best of you is if you let it, and if you let your past rule your future. You can't define me by my past. It's impossible. I don't go around these days saying I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict. I've recovered from that bullshit that I went through, and I'm living life to the full, But as we go along, we find things that we do and we react, and we need to know why. And the why is go back and find out the generational thing. This was my philosophy when I left the house, was I'm never going to be tall enough, blonde enough, thin enough, or rich enough. And that's just the way it is, Rob. Just get used to it. And I'm like, again, says who? I don't like it. You see, the family past is strong. My family used to be very strong, but you know something? I ripped it apart. I ripped it apart with my alcoholism. My mum died a lot earlier with cancer than she should have done because of my homelessness and the way I treated the family, let them down, left my kids. The kids got taken off me. My youngest daughter, 30 years on, still never spoke to me since the age of 1. This stuff needs sorting out. Now, whether people around you get sorted out, that's not my problem. My problem is to make amends and go forward. But I have to look at the trauma. Why am I behaving this way? And it's all there, guys. People who come to me say, I have no childhood trauma. No, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You have to delve into what trauma is to an individual. It's different things. It's not across the board. And you have to find out what's stopping you. Now, if you're not successful today, you have to ask why. Well, it's because, why? What does success look like? Success at one point was to earn $1 million. I did that. The next success was to earn 10 million. I did that. It didn't bring me happiness. It brought me nothing. What was it, Jay-Z? More money, more problems. Oh my goodness. Can I tell you that's true? What happiness for me is 4 years ago when my daughter that I'd not seen for 28 years, 26 years, I don't know, messaged me in the middle of the night on Facebook saying, hey, Dad. She called me Dad, Ernest. Hey, Dad, I've seen you on TV. I don't believe what they were telling me over the years. Can we meet? I've got something to show you and tell you. We message back and forth as my wife is drastically getting out of the airport so we can get a flight over there. We did. Next day, I was at her doorstep. all the nerves, all the trauma came. What kind of dad are you? You've never been there for her. What a piece of crap you are. She opened the door. She fell into my arms. We cried. We laughed. She walked me into her front room, Ernest, and she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. That was what I call success, man. You can take all the money you want off me. I don't care. Do I like that nice things? Yeah. But you know something? If tomorrow you was to take me away from all these things that I have and put me in a tent with my wife, my 3 English bulldogs, and my cat and my daughter, I was happy as I am today. So you really need to define what's success. Anybody can become a millionaire. Anybody can become successful. Oh, yeah, but yeah. You know, people used to say to me, Ernest, that, well, that's just not possible. I mean, for instance, I can't become president of the United States. Well, forget your political views for a second, guys. We had a business running the country. A bit with no political don't ever dare tell me that you can't be someone or do something. It's just not true. It's the trauma from the past. Oh, you can't do this. You know, a kid from homelessness, from the projects, the worst of the projects, cannot be the #1 addiction doctor in the world. He cannot work with movie stars, with government. He cannot. Says who? You know, and we have this great lab. We work with A-listers, movie stars, footballers, musicians, the biggest musicians in the world. But, and here's my but, before everyone gets wound up in all that, look at him. 25% of my work every single month is pro bono. Every single therapist, every single coach that works for me has to carry a pro bono patient. Otherwise, you cannot work for me. So that's my happy balance. I have everything I want and everything I need today. So what's the only thing I can do is give back. That's all I do. I bless someone monetarily every time I leave the house. Every time I eat, I will tip somebody the meal. The meal's $150. I will tip $150. Not because I'm showing up, because it's not my money. This is God's money, man. I'm not keeping that stuff. Why should I keep $5,000 up in my safe for the next 2 years? What's he doing? Nothing. That could save somebody's life. We've just had a Christmas toy push. I asked everybody, one-parent families, call in, send me the 3 gifts that your child wants, and we'll pick one. We never pick one. We buy all 3. Then I dress up as Santa and I go out wherever possible and we deliver them gifts to people. You know, that's what we do. I posted yesterday, could $100 change your life? And 20, 30 people would give me these stories. I sent $100 to everybody. I said I was going to pick 3. This is living, you know, the rest comes easy. And people all the time tell me I can't do what you do or I can't be successful. It's a lie from the past, guys. It really is a lie from the past, because knowing neuroscience and knowing quantum physics and knowing the world today, we have computers, we have the internet at our fingertips. If you're not earning what you want to earn and not double, you're doing something wrong. That's where we come in.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing, Dr. Kelly. I just listening to you and some of the work that I do is you know, as a speaker, is going to schools and different organizations and talking to these younger people, and not just younger people, but people in general, about the fact that they can be successful. You know, and you have to define what success means to you, because especially with our younger generation, and I've had this conversation so many times with the social media and the other influences of what success is. It's like, no, that's someone else's definition of success that you're trying to live up to, which is why you're having such a hard time, because that's not even what makes you happy. You know what I mean? So you
I've got to jump in, man. Oh my God, that's brilliant. It's like Louis Vuitton. Who does Louis Vuitton sell their stuff to? Rich people? No. Well, who? All people trying to look rich. You look at demographics of what they sell and how they sell it. I'd rather walk around in a $10 handbag with $100 in it than a $1,000 handbag with $10 in it. You know, what's your definition of success? Is your definition of success to look rich, or is it quietly to be rich and give back? Is your definition of success to get in touch with your child, be the best husband, be the best wife? What's your definition of happiness? Because I can tell you categorically, guys. Now, I've been rich and I've been poor. Don't get me wrong. I choose rich every time. Don't get me wrong, because I can help more people. But what does it look like for you guys? Like Ernest just said, you know, what does it look like to you? What is success for you? You want to be the best road sweeper? You want to be the best sister, brother, dad? It's all for you there. You want to earn money? It's all for you. You want to, be the best dad ever? Why can't you be? Well, there's so many more. Why can't you be? And the answer is you can. Stop putting brakes on your imagination. Stop thinking you're not good enough, because it's not true. Everyone listening to this podcast right now is listening for a reason. Don't think you've stumbled upon it on this episode. You haven't. I'm here categorically to tell you that you can change your life. And before we go today, guys, I'm going to give you 3 things that will change your life from tomorrow morning if you follow direction, and your life will start being molded, because we can mold our mind. Our mind runs our day. So we get up in the morning, we can program our mind to tell our brain what to do, that our body and central nervous system will follow. Ever heard the say mind over matter? Well, the brain is matter. It's just, and the mind sits inside the brain. You can't touch it, you can't feel it. They are not the same entity. The mind is so powerful that it creates mind over matter. I'd make my mind up today to be the best person ever. That gets released through the energy into the brain. The neural pathways pick that up. Central nervous systems follow. It's impossible to fail once we solidify the neural pathways for success. But like you said, Ernest, what does success look like for you?
Yes, and that's the answer to it. And even my own journey that I'm on myself, I'm on a journey to become rich, right? And not for myself. So my prayer has been the last year or so is, God, allow me to be the person that people come to when they need help, when they're in need. And then on the other side of that, I say, bless me with the resources, whether financial connections, whatever, so that I can meet that need. So it's not even for me, because right now, really, my life is okay. So if I don't get anything else, or, no more extra money or anything, I'm okay. But again, like you mentioned, you want to have more because you can do more, and so that's my heart, to be in a position to do more, to help more people. So I definitely want to have that experience, even like you said, to be able to go to a restaurant and leave a tip that's way beyond, whatever they might have thought. And you're not doing it for them, but it's like the word says, we are blessed to be a blessing. And, what we give, that's what's going to come back to us. And so if we give over in abundance, then it's going to come back to us over in abundance, which will allow us to be over and abundant in other areas, And so that's my heart. So I definitely want to, jump into these 3 points before we get out of here that you mentioned, because I definitely want to use them for myself, but I know that they're going to be valuable for my listeners. So let's jump right into that. What is your 3 points you want to leave us with that's going to definitely make us and give us the opportunity to make a difference in our lives, even on today?
Changing life for tomorrow morning, guys. First, number one of the reasons why nobody has ever woken up laughing in the morning is because of lack of oxygen. So between the hours on a normal circadian rhythm sleep pattern, between the hours of 2 and 5 is where the most repair in the body starts to happen. Okay, so the oxygen is low, everything's low. It's also when most people die of natural causes between that time frame. So when we wake up with the lack of it, we've got no oxygen. So the lack of oxygen equals the disease. So, and I'll get to that in a second. But what we want to do is trying to get air inside us as much as possible. So when you get up tomorrow morning, I want you to take 15 deep, exaggerated breaths in and out. Really exaggerate breaths. Let's get that oxygen going around. We only breathe around 40%, maybe less, 30% of oxygen that the body needs, because we breathe like this. That's not our lung capacity. One of the reasons we feel so good for going to the gym or running is this. In between the sets, it's not the lifting. So we need to so the presence of oxygen equals the absence of disease. Every disease, cancers, growth, inflammations grow in a hypoxic area of the body. So we want to get as much oxygen as around 15, 20 times. Hold on to the bed. You will go dizzy, otherwise you're not doing it right. Let's get that oxygen in. Number one, strike. Walk into the bathroom. Number two, let's feed that subconscious mind of good stuff and not bad stuff that it hears. Waste of time, no good. You never amount to anything. No man's going to have you with 3 children after I leave. I love you 10 times in the mirror, 6 foot away from the mirror. I love you, I love you, I love you 10 times every morning. Now, don't walk close to the mirror. because our eyes are like a defect. When we get close to the mirror, we see all our blemishes. So when we're doing shaving and putting makeup on girls in the morning, you see the blemishes on you. When you stand 6 foot away, there's no blemishes. And that's how people see us. When's the last time you went in the office and go, hey, Jimmy, how you doing? Nobody does that. So stop getting this step away. You'll see your blemishes disappear, and that's how people see you. That's what you need to do, okay? And the third, let's change that thought patterns around, just in case there's negativity. There probably is, that's inset with the pathways self-sabotage throughout the day, lack of confidence, all that stuff. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, brush with your left for a week, right for a week, left for a week, right for a week, for 1 month, your life will change on a couple of accounts. First of all, we're getting oxygen to the places we need it. We're active, we're more alert, we feel better. Get them 4 chemicals going every day, get to the gym, 20 minutes walk, whatever extra curriculum you want to do, but do them 3 things in the morning, your life will change from tomorrow. Now, I used to say, if it doesn't, let me know, I'll give you $100. And out of 10 years of saying that, on about 5 podcasts a day at one time, I've been on tens of thousands of podcasts, there was one guy that came to me and said he didn't feel any better. You were lying, my good man. So I've been told by my legal guys to drop their owner. But I'm telling you guys, it'll change your life. Email me if it doesn't, and I'll send you something nice.
All right. That's amazing, Doc. Oh, man, I love it. Man, so Dr. Kelly, man, yeah, mine don't look that good. Mine is more hanging down this way, right? So, Dr. Kelly, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I love this conversation, man. I learned something that nobody else did, and definitely going to be using those 3 tips to make a change in my life starting tomorrow. At the time of us recording this, we're about to go into a new year. So there's no better time than today, to start this new year off with a bang. So I definitely appreciate it. Dr. Kelly, I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to leave us with a word of advice, inspiration, however you feel, from our listeners, and also to share your social media and all of your handles where we can get in contact with you, where my listeners can follow you. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my listeners, man, thank you guys once again for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following us on our websites, thedealhealfulfill.org, which is our main website, which will tell you more about things that I have going on as a speaker, as a podcast host of several podcasts now at this point, as well as workshop facilitator. And you can book me to come and talk to your organization or your school, right, to your students. So make sure you guys are checking us out. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org. Also, our Deal to Heal tees, which is our inspirational tee line, inspirational t-shirt line. That's Deal, the number 2, healtees.com, dealtohealtees.com. And last but not least, make sure you're checking us out at ebooksbyejames.com, where we have several ebooks that I've written that is there that's be able to help you and add value to your life. Also, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And one of the things that we do, we hold free virtual workshops every quarter of the year talking about forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, who it's for, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. It's a vital and very valuable resource that we do, and it's free of charge. So you can go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for the next one. Whenever you're listening to this episode, either one just passed or one is coming up. So go to forgivenessmission.com in order to register for the free virtual workshop, or just go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Mission Workshop, and you should be able to find that there. Last but not least, I told you guys that I would tell you how you can win $100 from the podcast. You can win $100 from the podcast by entering our super subscriber contest. What does that mean? You must first subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. Then text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is ongoing and is random, which means that anytime I can pull a name and that name could be yours. But make sure when you text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 866-326-0730, that you leave us with your contact information. We have a lot of people that's texting in the word win, but they don't leave any information. So make sure that you leave your name, your phone number, and your email address so that we can contact you if you are our next $100 winner. Again, Dr. Kelly, let me say once again that I definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing your expertise. And I want you to know I appreciate it, and my listeners, I know they're going to get something out of this episode. That being said, I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Come and find me, guys, robkelly.com, in case you just listen, not watching, ROBBKELLY.com, the website. Come and say hi. We'll never try and sell you anything. We've got enough money. Thank you so much. But if you can be of help, mums and dads or sisters and brothers, about someone, loved one in chaos, just give us a call. My staff will speak to you 24/7. The foundation is on there as well, guys. Visit the foundation, just helping others. That's all it is. And the last word I want to leave you guys is, listen, we don't have time. And when I say that, how many times, parents, have you waving your kids to kindergarten, next minute you're waving them to college? We don't have time. Date that girl, buy that house, start that business today. Don't wait, guys. Everyone waits, you know. Most of the interviews we did with people that were dying in hospices with their consent and our consent was, I thought I had more time. You don't have time, okay, guys? Get out there, get what's done. Have a happy life, guys. And remember, you are powerful and you are worth it and you can do it, baby.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. So until next time, you guys be blessed. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying the podcast. However, don't forget to join our text line at 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 in order to receive text messages with new events and things that is going on and new episodes as they release. All right, see you in a minute. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.